welcome back to my channel. My name is Dinithi. And today I am going to talk about all the books I've been reading since the start of this year because I couldn't do a proper wrap-up until now. The main reason why is that I haven't been reading a lot, so it didn't make sense to make 3 videos wrapping up all the books that I've read when I've only been reading like 1 or 2 books a month. But I do have quite a list. A lot of them are rereads, so I have talked about them before. But anyway, let's get into it. These are the books that I've been reading since January. Starting with, I reread, I think this is the first read for my 2023, and that is Gideon the Ninth. No surprise there. I wanted to tab the book, so I picked it up, and yeah, this is me. This is self-control, okay? I wanted to tab the entire book, but reading it for the second time, it was even better, honestly, because I knew the story already and I knew what's gonna happen and I knew what's coming. So all of that put together, it was just so great. And for those of you who don't know, Gideon is a space opera type of thing where you have 9 planets in the system and they are ruled by the first house where the emperor is. And the emperor is somebody who basically raised the dead when the world ended, and now you have different houses of skeletons and undead people. The emperor calls upon these 9 houses and they ask you send 2 people to the first house to train to become cavaliers. Now cavaliers are basically the soldiers to emperor's army, like that sort of thing. And now each cavalier need a... oh wait, I forgot, it's not the cavaliers, it's the lictors. Lictors need a cavalier, okay? So emperor needs lictors. Lictors are like the knights that we know of, and every lictor needs a cavalier who's like their own bodyguard. Now Gideon is Harrow's cavalier, and that is how the story starts. I'm sorry if it doesn't make sense to you. It did make sense to me in the beginning, and I'm very bad at explaining things, but essentially yes. Now that is the story of Gideon, and what I like about this book is, again, it's not solely for the plot. The plot is actually very original and very interesting, I have to say that, but it's the characters that has always been the forefront of Gideon the Ninth and also Harrow the Ninth. So Gideon and Harrow's relationship, their quirky banter, their chemistry, and their hatred for each other, like it's a really good character dynamic, and it's a sapphic romance. Now I don't want to spoil the book, but yeah, it is very gay and I like it. And then I also read Harrow the Ninth, of course. Like I had to read both, and also tabbed it too. I think I like Harrow the Ninth more than Gideon, which is saying a lot because I love Gideon. I love how it begins as well. But I think, yeah, Harrow as a whole, I like Harrow better. And I actually think I read Harrow in like 1 or 2 days. I flew through both. Okay, so before I move on to my next read, I wanted to give a special shout out to Mayumi on Instagram. She does like incredible illustrations, and she made this fan art for Gideon for me. So I'm gonna put it here so you can see, like, she is incredible, okay? I just gave her my inspiration and I showed her like what I want, and then she drew it. It's fantastic. It is so beautiful and I love it. So go check her out. She does like commissions for any kind of art. Go support her. She's amazing. She's a wonderful person. And a massive shout out to Seni. That's the name of the artist, and her Instagram account, or like her art account, I'll leave it in the description below and here if you can see. Now after that I read Senlin. This is the first book to the Books of Babel series. I think it's 4 books. And Gideon and Harrow I gave 5 out of 5 each, no questions on that. And then yeah, Senlin, this I also gave, I think, 4 out of 5. This was great. I really enjoyed it when I was reading it. It's essentially about this couple who goes to the Tower of Babel for their honeymoon. Now the husband is like this the guy, he's a teacher at like a very distant village, and he's always dreamed of going to this Tower of Babel, which is like the pinnacle of civilization, like in this world. I also don't know, can't remember what it's called, but it's a fantasy setting, and the tower has like different layers to it, and you essentially have to visit one by one. And I think as soon as they get to the place, he loses track of his wife. And the weird thing about this tower, like the layers, that they keep changing. So like he leaves her at this shop and they decide to meet somewhere, but then by the time he comes back, that shop doesn't exist anymore, something else is there. So that's the kind of thing. And then he soon realizes that there are people who have been looking for their loved ones, they've lost for years now, and some have given up on going home, some have like made a life here in the hopes that they might eventually find the people that they lost. So there are so many things going on in this tower that it's nothing like what he imagined it to be. So essentially you follow him figuring out and trying to find his wife through the story. And there are so many close moments where he notices that he's on the right path and he could have met the wife. Something happens and he is like completely brought back to square one, and he does meet a lot of interesting people through his journey. And the senlin as a main character is very entertaining. He is such a boomer. He's a very traditional, very by the book sort of guy, and him having to navigate this world, like the world inside the tower itself, is very intriguing, and he kind of has to use his wits and he has to learn new things. I think he's in his late 40s, so he's very uptight. He doesn't want to change his ways. He doesn't want to let the tower change his beliefs and everything, but he kind of has to get with the times within these towers in order to like get ahead. So yeah, for a first book in a series, this is good. This is a lot of setup and character introduction, so nothing major happens in terms of the plot, but I am excited to continue. I will be reading the second book as well. So yeah, this one is great. So then I read the ebook for 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I think she's the author of Spin the Dawn, which again I had the book and I never read. Now 6 Crimson Cranes is a young adult fantasy, okay? So it is not for me. That is all I can say, because I was just freaking rolling my eyes the whole time, and I just wanted to finish it. I just wanted it to end. I think I've outgrown this type of fantasy, because reading it, I'll tell you the story. The story is basically about this girl who is forced to like get married to. Okay, so your main character Shiori is somebody who has magic, and apparently magic is forbidden in this world. I'm literally reading you the premise because I don't remember the story, okay? I read this in January, and I gave it 2 stars. So I don't like it, but I don't think I'm the right audience for it, so maybe give it a try and see. It might not be the worst book, but I didn't like it. So this is my rating and it's my opinion on the book, because I just didn't like the story. I didn't like the characters. They were very underdeveloped. And honestly, yeah, it felt like your typical YA fantasy, which I think it's time that we create like new stories and not something that we've been reading about this magic and this forbidden magic, or like the chosen one. You know what I mean, right? So Shiori, yeah, she has magic. It's forbidden in this world, and she has 6 brothers, and they live with. She's a princess, right? And they live with the king and their stepmother, who seems to have magic of her own. Things happen in this book, okay? Honestly, I can't remember. I just remember her going to some festival with her brothers, and the brothers were being very annoying because I could not differentiate them. There were 6 of them. They all sounded exactly the same. It's like one person was talking, and I gave up after that. I was like, okay, these people are not gonna have personalities. And yeah, just as I predicted, a few pages later, they get turned into these cranes, which are like birds, by the stepmother who again, I don't know why she does that. They become cranes, okay? And then the whole story is and then okay, this is where I lost the plot. All right, this stepmother puts a ball on Shiori's head. I had to read this. I had to listen to this again to understand what's happening, because I thought I read it wrong, but no, it's an actual ball. I actually went on Pinterest to look at fan art, because I was like, there's no way that this person came up with this ridiculous story that you put a ball on someone's head as a curse. But no, that's exactly what happened. She has a bowl on her head and she can't speak. Again, like its own tragedy. So now she has to find a way to save her brothers and turn them back. Oh, okay. I remember this. I think if she speaks, every time she speaks, or tries to use her magic, the stepmother cursed so that one of her brothers will die. I don't want to spoil the story for you, but if you know young adult, you'll know how this ends. So anyway, yeah, that's essentially the story. Now she has to figure out a way to save the brothers without speaking, and a fucking bowl on her head. I tapped out. I didn't like it. I read the story because I wanted to finish it. But yeah, I gave it 2 stars. It is not for me. So let's just move on. I reread The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've only read the first 4 books before. This is like the entire collection. It has 5 stories. I read this 2 years ago and I did not remember anything about it except for the fact that I knew I liked it, and I've given all of them 5 stars. The first 4, right? But upon reread, I gave I think I gave the first 2 5 stars. They were really good. But the third one I gave 4 stars. The 4th one I gave 3 stars, and the last one I only gave 2 stars because again it was a completely unnecessary story. It was dragging way too long. So yeah, if you're gonna read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I suggest you read just the first 2. Even if you just read the first one, it's enough to, because this is a sci-fi classic and you have to read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a book that you have to read at least once in your life because it's very small, right? You can finish this in a day. It's like 2 hours long in the audiobook, and it's just a fun time, right? It's very hard to explain this story to somebody because it's just so ridiculous, and part of that ridiculousness is why it is so enjoyable. Basically, you have Arthur Dent, who is a older guy living in the UK, and his day turns out goes from bad to worse when these people who come and try to demolish his house because they want to build a freeway. Now, while they were doing that, he meets this guy called Ford Prefect, who turns out to be an alien who is stranded on Earth, and he has been gathering information to write a guide called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It is the title and the name of the book that he's writing. And then you have the galactic community who have decided to destroy Earth, as in like the entire planet Earth. They want to build a hyperspatial express route. The Earth actually gets destroyed, and Ford and Arthur jump on like this spaceship in order to escape. And yeah, that's how the story starts, and you go on with the adventures. It's just ridiculous, right? Because you have a fish that is stuck in Arthur's ear who translates, well, different languages because Arthur only speaks English, and in space there are many aliens and they speak very different languages. So yeah, it's fun things like that I really enjoyed about this book. And yeah, upon reread, it is also, I mean, yeah, there's nothing more to say except that it is a fun time. But I will say, like, the story decrease in quality as the books go on, so I wouldn't recommend that you read the entire. I mean, you can, it's fine. It's again, like, there's nothing big to dissect, so it's just a fun time if you want to read like a small book. So if you can continue if you want, but I would suggest you read just the first 2 if you want like really good quality stories, particularly the first one. I mean, you put that you have to add it to your TBR because it is a must read. But that is it for this video. I'm not going to keep you long. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. And give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe. I do try to make videos every Sunday, and I hope you're here for the long run, and I will see you soon with a new video.